What's up everybody, it's the River here, and today I'm going to take you through the second part of my Pokemon SoulSilver Hardcore Nuzlocke, where I take on the gym leaders of Kanto. For those of you who might not know, a Nuzlocke run includes additional rules that make the game more difficult. I can only catch the first Pokemon I encounter in each area, fainted Pokemon are considered dead and must be permanently boxed, and all captured Pokemon must have nicknames. The hardcore editions include playing on the set battle mode, only held items are allowed in battle, and I can't overlevel my Pokemon past the next gym leader's ace. I also play with the dupes or species clause so that I can increase the variety within my encounters, but I won't actually be hunting for many new encounters in this video because I already had a lot of unused Pokemon in my PC. I'll include a full list of the rules in the description below. So like I said before, this is the part 2 follow-up to my last video, where I cleared the initial 8 gyms of Johto and the Elite Four. I'll leave a link to that video in the description as well, but to summarize the results of the Elite Four battle, I lost Not Gengar the Haunter to Bruno, Hercules the Heracross to Karen, and Magneto the Magneton in the champion battle with Lance. The survivors include my starter Pokemon, Starlord the Typhlosion, whoop, there it is, the Quagsire, and the RNG savior of the champion battle, Nubby the Mamoswine. Before heading off to terrorize the Kanto League, I need some new replacements for the team. So Javelin the Firo, once again, comes back out of the box to become my resident flyer. He's joined by 2 new recruits, Kingswoman the Execute, who I got from a headbutt tree in Ecruteak City, and E3 the Eevee, who I got from Bill in Goldenrod City. The new members of my team are both stone evolutions, so first I get the National Dex upgrade from Professor Oak so that I can buy a Thunderstone and turn E3 into a Jolteon. I could also grind up to buy a Leaf Stone for an evolution into Executor, but I'll be honest, I was getting kinda tired of the Pokeathlon Dome, and I'm pretty sure I can get a Leaf Stone as I'm running around Kanto. I start a bit of grinding to level up E3 and Kingswoman, but I get impatient and head to Kanto a bit early, thinking I'll first clear out the gym leaders that I've already got counters for and use the experience share to get the rest of the team up to speed. The end game of Heart Gold and Soul Silver is pretty open-ended, so I can actually do most of the Kanto gyms in any order that I like. I start off with Janine, the Fuchsia City gym leader, since she has the lowest level cap. But my best response to her poison types is my underleveled and unevolved Execute. So instead, I try to brute force the battle like I did with her father, Koga, in the Elite Four. She leads with a Crobat, so I bring out Nubby. Crobat outspeeds with a wing attack as I try to get the Omni Boost from my Ancient Power so I can set up a sweep, but no such luck. I use Priority Ice Shard on the next turn for a kill, and Weezing comes out next. Unfortunately, her Levitate ability means I still can't land an Earthquake, so I just go for an Icy Wind to avoid dealing with its hefty defenses. I also luck out by getting a Speed Drop, and Weezing even misses a Toxic. I land another Icy Wind, and Weezing goes for a Sludge Bomb that actually gets the poison off. I kill with another Icy Wind next turn, but at this point, Nubby is below half health. I swap into Starlord to deal with Ariados, and after a bit of damage from Psychic on the switch, a single Flamethrower is enough for the kill. Janine has another Ariados, but it gets the same treatment. Her last Pokemon is a Venomoth, just like her father Koga, but it's still weak to Fire-type moves, so another Flamethrower wins me my first badge in Kanto. I find Erica in Celadon City, and even if she has a higher level cap of 56, her team is extremely vulnerable to fire types, and I've got a choice specs for Starlord. I'm not sure if it's an artifact of being an extension of the original Gen 1 games, but a lot of the Kanto leaders have a pretty specific type matchup that can be exploited with the choice specs and a strong stab boost. Starlord sweeps Erica's whole team with choice specs flamethrowers, and that's another badge for the collection. Next, I head over to Vermilion City to face off with Lieutenant Surge. And even if I can't sweep with a Choice Specs boosted special attacker, I've got 2 ground types on my team. I lead with Nubby, who gets the Choice Scarf for some speed, and once again I get a clean sweep with a bunch of stab Earthquakes. Before I continue my blitz of gym battles, it's time to properly get E3 and Kingswoman up to speed, and there's a little bit of a side story at the power plant. I hunt down a Team Rocket grunt who apparently didn't get the memo that the organization was dismantled by a child yet again, and I restore power to the map and get the TM for Charge Beam as a nice reward. I'm now able to wake up the Snorlax east of Vermilion City, and it's the one interesting encounter I pick up in Kanto, but I just want it for the leftovers item, so he gets dumped in the box right after I catch him. I know Snorlax is an absolute beast, but that's exactly why I'm leaving him on the bench along with Gyarados for this run. I finally get my team up to the next level cap by hunting down trainers all over Kanto, and I evolve Kingswoman with a Leaf Stone that I got from Bill's grandfather. I am ready to take on the next gambit of gym leaders, and because Brock and Misty share a level cap of 54, I go in slightly underleveled. Brock's entire team is 4 times weak to grass types, so with the Giga Drain TM I got for beating Erica, I instead use the Choice Scarf to make sure that Kingswoman can outspeed all of Brock's Pokemon. Most of his team is pretty slow to begin with, but so is Exeggutor, and it even gets minus speed because of its relaxed nature. Regardless, it's another easy win over Brock, and I've got a similar plan for Misty. I lead with E3, who easily takes out the Golduck with a Shockwave, but Misty's Quagsire is immune to Electric-type moves, so I swap into Kingswoman. She takes minimal damage from an Earthquake, and heals back all the damage with another 4 times effective Giga Drain. Next is Lapras, which is honestly kinda scary with its power and bulk, and I'm worried about a super effective Ice-type move. I don't want to switch directly back into E3 and risk damage or a status condition, so instead Nubby comes out and she gets hit with a Sing. There it is swaps in next to absorb a Water Pulse, and I want a safe switch to get into E3, so I go for a Yawn after tanking some damage from an Ice Beam. I rotate into Nubby on the next turn to soak up more damage, and Lapras uses another Ice Beam before falling asleep. E3 finally comes out again, and even with the choice specs, a single Shockwave isn't enough for the KO. Misty uses a full restore that gets rid of the sleep debuff too, but E3 still has higher speed, so I keep using more Shockwaves as Misty stalls with full restores, and eventually Lapras goes down. Misty's ace, Starmie, is up last, but it's not as tanky as Lapras, so one more specs boosted Shockwave secures me the battle. More switching in and out than I expected to rely on, but the Lapras needed to be respected. Next up is Sabrina, and I'm actually worried about this fight because it's the first one I've had to face without a stab boosted type advantage. I taught E3 the Shadow Ball, and a choice specs helps to compensate for the lack of stab. A single Shadow Ball takes out Espeon, but not only is it not enough to take out the Mr. Mime, who lives with a sliver, it sets up a light screen. Funnily enough though, I actually get a crit on the next turn, so it bypasses the screen and KOs Mr. Mime. Sabrina's Alakazam is up last, and with the screen, Shadow Ball does a bit over half and it heals with the Citrus Berry. The AI must really like its screens, so instead of retaliating with Alakazam's high special attack, it just goes for a Reflect, which will be pretty useless. Another Shadow Ball barely doesn't kill because of the Citrus Berry, and E3 takes a big chunk from a Psychic. Sabrina heals as I go for another Shadow Ball, but now I need to switch, so I bring out Kingswoman, who resists a Psychic. I think I actually risk a crit here, but the AI makes an odd decision once again and goes for Skill Swap, so a single Giga Drain finishes up the battle. There's a big boost in the level cap for the last 2 gyms, so I run around for a bit trying to find more trainers to farm experience, and I eventually make it to Cinnabar Island. Blaine's original gym apparently got annihilated by an erupting volcano, and instead I find Blue, who tells me to come back when I've got more badges. I make a quick trip over to the Seafoam Islands, where Blaine has relocated, and I expect another easy sweep with Stab Surf. But there it is, the Quagsire's sluggish base speed causes me trouble. I can outspeed the Magcargo, and a 4-time Surf takes it out, but not even a Choice Scarf helps as Magmar outspeeds and hits a Confuse Ray. I am definitely punished for not doing the speed calculations here, and there it is, hits itself in confusion. Even worse, Magmar sets up a Sunny Day the next turn. The sun cuts down on the power of water-type moves, and there it is, can't even fire off a Surf as he hits himself in confusion again. I'm starting to sweat a little bit, because a Sunny Day boosted Stab Overheat is going to do a lot of damage even to my team members who would resist it. Overheat is a powerful move that's balanced by a drop in special attack, but Blaine has a White Herb on all of his Pokemon, so Magmar shakes off the stat drop. Fortunately, there it is, finally breaks through the confusion, but with the sun up, Surf only does a bit more than half. At this point, I start scanning my team to see who has the most special defense, but I actually slip up and accidentally send in E3 as I hit the wrong button. E3 takes a full power overheat to the face, and miraculously lives with 8 HP like a champion. I immediately switch into Star-Lord, who easily tanks a -2 overheat. I honestly probably shouldn't have even bothered looking through the rest of my team, but thankfully it worked out, and a Sunny Day boosted Eruption finishes off Magmar. Blaine's ace, Rapidash, comes out, and because it's got a lot of physical moves, I decide to try a Defense Curl rollout combo. Defense Curl boosts the power of my super effective rollout in addition to helping me tank a Flare Blitz, but after my first rollout does a lot of damage, Rapidash uses Bounce and interrupts my rollout streak. I decide to try risking another combo, and Rapidash sneaks in a quick attack as I use Defense Curl. I definitely get a bit greedy here as I go for another rollout, and thankfully I get the kill, but with its imperfect accuracy, I could have risked dying to a crit that would have bypassed my defense boosts. But, sloppy or not, I claim the 7th Kanto gym badge and send Blue back to his gym. I head back to Viridian City and prepare for my confrontation with Blue. Similarly to the final boss Red, Blue doesn't restrict himself to a single type specialization, so I'll definitely need to switch through my party members for a successful battle. I lead with Star-Lord, who has the Charcoal to boost his fire type moves into Blue's Exeggutor. Eruption does more damage based on how much remaining HP a Pokemon has, so at full health, Star-Lord lands a 150 base power Eruption and wipes out the Exeggutor. Rhydon is up next, so I swap into Kingswoman. A Stone Edge does quite a bit of damage, but Kingswoman is bulky and heals up a bit with the Leftovers item. Even better, I use a 4 times effective Giga Drain the next turn that KOs Rhydon and heals Kingswoman back up to full. Arcanine comes out, and I learn from my battle with Blaine, so I swap into Star-Lord. He tanks a Flare Blitz pretty well, and Arcanine takes chip damage from recoil. I switch into There It Is for some actual damage, and even though he shrugs off the Flare Blitz, it inflicts him with a burn. Thankfully, There It Is has multiple offensive options, so after Dragon Pulse does decent damage, There It Is hits a Surf that ignores the reduction in attack, and it's enough to take out the Arcanine. Blue sends out Machamp next, and I'm not sure which move it'll go for because There It Is low enough to get taken out by any of them. Javelin is a decent option, but a Stone Edge or Thunder Punch would be super effective, so I swap into Kingswoman, who can deal with all of Machamp's moves decently well. Machamp opts into an Earthquake, which Javelin could have avoided altogether, but it doesn't do much damage. Kingswoman heals from Leftovers, and I set up a Leech Seed the next turn. Stone Edge chunks a bit more, and I've got plenty of healing, and a Psychic wipes him out the next turn. Blue brings out his Pidgeot, and I respond with E3. I know that E3 can outspeed all of Blue's team, so I gave him a Focus Sash in case I needed a risky switch in, but he would have resisted the incoming Air Slash, and Pidgeot even misses it. I go for a Shockwave instead of Charge Beam for the sure hit, but it doesn't quite get the kill. The Citrus Berry activates, taking it out of potion range, and Pidgeot does big damage with a Stab return. But again, even with a crit, E3 could have lived with the Focus Sash. One more Shockwave on the next turn takes out Blue's Pidgeot, and all he's got left is a Gyarados that's 4 times weak to E3's electric moves. A single Shockwave takes out Gyarados, and I've conquered yet another set of 8 gyms. I've got one last challenge ahead of me as I pick up the Rock Climb HM from Professor Oak, and he gives me access to Mount Silver. There is a massive jump in the level cap as I've got to face off against who I think is supposed to be the strongest trainer in the series. Red has the original 3 Kanto starters, all at level 84, as well as a level 80 Lapras, a level 82 Snorlax, and a level 88 Pikachu. Technically, the level cap should be 88, but Pikachu is unevolved, so I set the level cap to 84 instead. I looked for as many trainers around Kanto as I could and grinded against the wild Pokemon at Mount Silver, but I got really sick of it by the time I got everyone to level 70 or so. In the spirit of full disclosure, I didn't want to waste hours and hours fighting wild Pokemon that were half my level, so I found a way to get rare candies sent to my, very real Nintendo DS. That way I could get everyone up to level 84 without sinking days into the grind. Normally I would of course never use this tactic, but Red stands literally heads and shoulders above everyone else in the series, so for him I'm making an exception. With that, I've got everyone up to speed, and it's time for the final battle. I find Trainer Red at the summit, and the battle begins. He leads with Pikachu, and I lead with Nubby. I set up a Stealth Rocks, mainly as a countermeasure against his Charizard, and Pikachu goes for an Iron Tail. I know it's super effective, but I did some damage calculations, and it should do a bit less than half. Oh. Like a complete amateur, I forgot that Pikachu is holding a Light Ball, which doubles his attack and special attack. A crit would have annihilated Nubby, but she doesn't take any damage from Hail and heals with Leftovers. I'm still pretty sure Quick Attack won't kill, so I go for an Earthquake, and Pikachu gets taken care of without any more run-ending surprises. Red sends out Blastoise, and Stealth Rocks gets me some chip damage. I decide to sack Nubby for some more damage and a safe switch, so she hits an Earthquake that does about half of Blastoise's health, and a returning 100% accuracy Blizzard takes down my beloved Woolly Mammoth. It's now time for E3 to take the spotlight once again. He's a solid type matchup into 3 of Red's Pokemon, but the continuing damage from Hail is an issue, so I gave him the Shell Bell instead of a Choice Specs. I use a Charge Beam to take out the Blastoise, and luckily I get the special attack boost. Snorlax comes out next, and this thing is an absolute brick wall. I thought I would use its bulk as an opportunity to farm the Charge Beam boost, but since I don't need to anymore, I use Thunderbolt for the accuracy, and it does a bit over half health as it hits a Blizzard. I use one more Thunderbolt to take it out, and according to plan, my Shell Bell has kept E3 pretty healthy. Lapras is out next, and normally not even a +1 super effective Thunderbolt would kill, but with the Stealth Rocks damage into an Ice type, E3 can get the KO in one shot. Charizard is out next, but immediately loses half of its health to the Stealth Rocks, and a single Thunderbolt can easily kill. Red's final Pokemon is Venusaur, and even with its bulk, I'm well positioned. I use Shadow Ball that hits for about half health, and Venusaur goes for a Hail Mary but misses Sleep Powder. One more Shadow Ball brings him down to a sliver, and he lands the Sleep Powder, but the hail damage is enough to take down the mighty Trainer Red. With that, I've successfully cleared the endgame of SoulSilver and cleared the hardcore Nuzlocke challenge. The Kanto leaders were all pretty straightforward, but even after sweeping half the gyms with Choice Specs, a couple of them, including Red, were really able to make me work for it and punish my lack of preparation. I'll definitely be more vigilant in the future and not neglect important items or speed calculations, but I'm happy to say that I could clear my first hardcore Nuzlocke with a cast of really cool Pokemon. I've got some ideas for more creative Nuzlockes in the future, so feel free to subscribe and check out those videos when they come out. Once again, it's the River here, and thank you all so much for watching.